Chapter 7. A Mad Tea Party. Under a tree in front of the house, a table was set up. The March Hare and Hatter were having tea at it. A dormouse was sleeping between them, and they used it as a pillow for their arms while they talked. Alice thought the dormouse must not be comfortable, but being asleep, it didn't mind. The table was big, but the three people were squished in one corner. They shouted, "No space! No space!" when they saw Alice. Alice said, "Plenty of space," and sat in a big chair at the other end of the table. "Drink some wine," said the March Hare with a friendly voice. Alice checked the table, but only saw tea. She said, "No wine here." "There isn't any," said the March Hare. "You were not very polite to offer it," Alice said, upset. "You shouldn't have sat down without being asked, it was rude," said the March Hare. "I didn't realize it was your table," Alice said. "It's set for many more than just 3 people." The Hatter told Alice, "You need a haircut." He had been closely observing her for a while, and this was his first comment. "Don't say mean things about people," Alice said firmly. "It's not nice." The Hatter was surprised to hear this and opened his eyes wide. He only asked, "How is a raven like a writing desk? Let's have fun now." Alice thought. "I'm happy they started asking riddles. I think I can guess it," she said out loud. "Do you think you can find the answer?" asked the March Hare. "Exactly so," said Alice. "Say what you mean," said the March Hare. "Yes, I do," Alice quickly answered. "I mean what I say. It's the same thing." "Not alike at all," said the Hatter. "It's like saying, 'I see what I eat' is the same as 'I eat what I see.' The March Hare says it's the same to say, 'I like what I get' as to say, 'I get what I like.'" The Dormouse, who was speaking as if asleep, said, "It's like saying, 'I breathe when I sleep' is the same as 'I sleep when I breathe.'" "Same with you," said the Hatter. Then they stopped talking and sat quietly for a minute while Alice thought about all she knew about ravens and writing desks, but it wasn't much. The Hatter broke the quiet first. He asked Alice, "What date is it?" He took out his watch and looked at it nervously. He shook it occasionally and held it to his ear. Alice thought for a moment and then said, "The 4th. "Wrong by 2 days," said the Hatter with a sigh. "I told you butter wouldn't work." He looked at the March Hare with anger. The March Hare said it was the best butter. The Hatter complained, "Maybe some crumbs got in too. You shouldn't have used the bread knife." The March Hare took the watch and was sad as he looked at it. Then, he put it in his teacup and looked at it again. But, he couldn't think of anything better to say than his first comment, "It was the best butter." Alice was curious and looked at his watch. She said, "What a strange watch. It only shows the day of the month and not the time." "Why does it have to?" said the Hatter. "Does your watch show you what year it is?" "No, that's not right," Alice quickly answered. "That's because it stays the same year for a long time." "That's the same with mine," said the Hatter. Alice felt very confused. The Hatter's statement seemed to her like it made no sense, even though it was in English. She said, "I'm not sure what you mean," in a polite way. The Hatter said the Dormouse is sleeping again and he put some hot tea on its nose. The mouse moved its head quickly and spoke without looking, "Yes, yes, I was going to say that too." "Did you figure out the puzzle yet?" asked the Hatter to Alice. "No, I quit," Alice answered. "What is the answer?" "I haven't the slightest idea," said the Hatter. "Nor I," said the March Hare. Alice was tired and sighed. She told the person that it would be better to do something useful instead of asking questions without answers. The Hatter said, "If you understood time like I do, you wouldn't talk about wasting it. It's time himself." "I don't know what you mean," said Alice. "No way," the Hatter said, shaking his head. "I bet you never talk to time." "Maybe not," Alice said carefully. "But I need to play music faster as I practice." "Oh, that explains it," said the Hatter. "He won't let himself be hit. If you stay friends with him, he'll do almost anything you want with the clock. For example, if it's 9 in the morning and time for class, you just have to say a gentle suggestion to time, and the clock will spin around quickly. 1:30, time for lunch." The March Hare whispered to itself, "I wish it was only true." "That would be great, surely," Alice said thoughtfully. "But I wouldn't be hungry for it." The Hatter said, "Maybe not at first, but you can keep it till 1:30 if you want. Is that the way you manage?" Alice asked. The Hatter sadly shook his head. He said, "Not me. We had a fight last March, just before he went crazy. This happened at the Queen of Hearts' big concert, and I had to sing, 'Twinkle, twinkle, little bat.' How I wonder what you're at. You know the song, perhaps?" "I've heard something like it," said Alice. The Hatter kept talking, "It keeps happening, you know. Up above the world you fly, like a tea tray in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle." The Dormouse shook and started singing, "Twinkle, twinkle," in its sleep. It kept singing for so long that they had to pinch it to make it stop. The Hatter said, "I just finished singing the first part of the song, when the Queen yelled, 'He's ruining the time. Cut off his head.'" "How dreadfully savage," exclaimed Alice. "And since then," the Hatter said sadly, "he won't do what I ask. It's always 6 o'clock now." Alice had a good idea. "Is that why there are so many tea things here?" she asked. "Yes, that's it," said the Hatter with a sigh. "We always have tea time and no time to clean up." "Then you keep walking, right?" asked Alice. "Exactly," said the Hatter, "as things get used." "What happens when you go back to the start again?" Alice asked. "Let's talk about something else," said the March Hare as he yawned. "I'm bored with this. I suggest the young lady tells us a story." "I don't know one," Alice said, worried about the suggestion. "Wake up, Dormouse," they both shouted. They both pinched it at the same time. The Dormouse woke up slowly. It said in a weak voice, "I wasn't sleeping. I heard everything you were saying." "Tell us a story," said the March Hare. "Yes, please do," pleaded Alice. "Hurry up," said the Hatter, "or you'll fall asleep before you finish." Long ago there were 3 small sisters named Elsie, Lacey, and Tilly. They lived at the bottom of a well. "What did they eat?" asked Alice, who was very interested in food and drinks. "They ate syrup," said the Dormouse, after thinking for a bit. Alice said softly, "They couldn't do that. They would have been sick." "So they were," said the Dormouse, "very ill." Alice tried to imagine what it would be like to live in an unusual way, but it was too confusing. She wondered, why did they live at the bottom of a well? "Please have more tea," the March Hare said to Alice, seriously. "I haven't had anything yet," Alice said in an upset voice, "so I can't have more." "You mean you can't have less?" asked the Hatter. "It's very easy to have more than nothing." "Nobody asked your opinion," said Alice. "Who's saying personal things now?" the Hatter asked with pride. Alice was not sure what to say, so she took some tea and bread. Then she asked the Dormouse again, why did they live at the bottom of a well? The mouse took a little time to think, then said it was a syrup well. "No way," Alice said, upset. But the Hatter and March Hare said, "Quiet." The Dormouse sadly said, "If you can't be nice, finish the story yourself." "No, please continue," Alice said politely. "I won't interrupt again. I think there may be one." "Yes, one," the Dormouse said in an upset voice. But then he agreed to continue. "These three sisters were learning how to draw, you know." "What did they draw?" asked Alice, forgetting her promise. "Treacle," said the Dormouse without thinking. The Hatter said, "I need a clean cup. Let's all change seats." He walked and talked, and the Dormouse went with him. The March Hare took the Dormouse's spot, and Alice took the March Hare's spot unwillingly. The Hatter was the only one who benefited from this change. Alice was in a worse situation than before because the March Hare spilled milk on his plate. Alice didn't want to upset the Dormouse again, so she asked carefully, "But I don't get it. Where did they get the syrup?" "You can get water from a well," said the Hatter. "So you should be able to get syrup from a syrup well, right?" "They were in the well," Alice told the Dormouse, ignoring the last comment. The Dormouse said, "Yes, they were inside." Alice was so confused by the answer that she let the Dormouse talk without stopping it for a while. The Dormouse continued, "They were practicing drawing. It was getting tired, so it yawned and rubbed its eyes. They drew many things that start with the letter M." "Why with an M?" said Alice. "Why not?" said the March Hare. Alice was silent. The Dormouse was sleeping, but the Hatter pinched it and it woke up with a small scream. Then it said, "Things starting with M like mousetraps, the moon, memory, and muchness, when you say things are the same. Have you ever seen a picture of muchness?" "Now you ask me, I'm really confused," Alice said. "I don't know." "Then you shouldn't talk," said the Hatter. Alice got very upset with their rude behavior and left. The Dormouse fell asleep right away and the others did not notice her leaving even though she looked back a few times hoping they would call after her. The last time she saw them, they were trying to put the Dormouse in the teapot. Alice said, "I won't go there again. It was the dumbest tea party I ever attended." She saw a tree with a door in it. She thought it was strange. She decided to go inside right away because everything was unusual today. She was back in the long hallway near the small glass table. She told herself, "I'll do better this time." She started by using the little golden key to open the door to the garden. Then, she ate some of the mushroom she had kept in her pocket until she was 1 foot tall. She walked through the small passage and finally reached the beautiful garden with colorful flowers and pleasant fountains.